Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me and see me?
I'm not really seeing. Before I got connected, I think I was seeing you, but after I connected, I wasn't seeing. But I can hear you clearly.
Okay, so let's just work with that. So thank you so much for joining in. Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much also for joining in. So today our topic for today is building and managing business systems. And this is a crucial topic for every business owner, and it's something that we need to master. Running a business isn't just about passion or great products, it's about creating systems that allow business to function, grow, and scale sustainably. And to help us break this down, we have an incredible guest with us, and he builds and manages systems for a living, actually. So get ready to take your notes and ask questions, gain insight, drop your comments that can transform how you run your business. So let's get started. Our guest for today is Mr. Taiwo Oyelade, and I'm really honored to have you here, sir.
Thank you very much, my
So much.
my
I wish I
friend,
was
my.
actually wish I was seeing your face, but it's fine. It's fine. So let's get on with it. What exactly does it mean to build a business system, especially in a country like Nigeria? And why is it essential for business growth?
If I hear you, well, what exactly does it mean to build a system for a business?
Yes,
That's the
yes,
question,
yes.
all right? Um, I always like to say ahead of time when I have privileges like this that I will be as simple and common as possible, because the essence of talks like this is not to sound grandeur or lofty. The essence of
Yeah.
talks like this is to be able to communicate, strengthen people, and enable people. That itself is a system. So
Mm.
basically, if you're talking about a system, what you're looking at is something, a procedure, a steps that you have standardized that build efficiency, ease in any company entirely, or in any particular process. It could be in food processing, it could be in consulting itself, it could be in finance, it could be in tech, it could be in church. Are you
Mm.
getting it? It could be in
Mm.
trade. You get the idea. It could be in trade. If you look around you, almost everything that you see around you, if you look closely, you see a system in them. It's possible they are not
Mm.
structured, but almost, whether you like it or not, something that you have to run on a system. Even your failure runs on a system. So it's actually
Mm.
something, a procedure, a step that is put in place to make things efficient, easy for people. Processes set in place to make things efficient, or if efficiency is taken out of the picture, there's no need of systems. I don't know if that's simple enough. I'm used to sounding very simple and easy. I don't know if that's fine.
Actually, it's actually a beautiful encounter right now, because there was something you said that's like gave me a light bulb moment, which is even your failure runs on a system. So what you're
Sure.
saying is that a system is simply processes that we occur to help whatever it is that you are doing on it to remain
Definitely.
efficient. So whether it's
You,
positive,
you give
whether
you
it's
speed.
negative, it's
It
reoccurring
runs on a
and it's
system.
helping. Yes. Wow. Okay, so what you're saying now is systems most likely is like the engine of a culture.
Yeah, actually, if you set the culture of a company, take for instance,
Yeah.
I will cite a very striking example for us. I like using personal experience. One of the
Yeah.
major culture anybody that works around me sees is that every business we do, family culture is built into it. So we don't run traditional business work structure. Everything is like a family. So we relate as family. Now, that culture is being sustained on a particular system. Do you get what I'm
Okay.
trying to say? So
Okay.
if you have a culture as a company, for that culture to be enshrined in the heart of people, because it's a waste for you to have a culture written, a core value written, and there's no system that powers it. So system is like a powering point. It enables effectiveness. It enables efficiency. At the end of the day, it's difficult to scale a business. It's difficult for even your failures to scale, because we scale in failures. It's difficult for your failure to scale. It's difficult for your successes to fail. It's difficult for your business to scale. It's difficult for your product to scale without a system put in place. There just has to be. God taught us that by everything God made. So there just has to be. You cannot really build a business and do much with it if there's no system in place. So it's like
Mm.
an engine room. It powers the whole structure.
Mm. I'm going to I'm going to take you back to what you just mentioned. You said God taught us how to build systems, and I want you to stay on that a bit and explain a bit further on how we can learn from God on building systems.
Okay. So now let's take an example. For instance, let's say every time you need the sun, you will have to go through a process that allow you conjure the sun out of wherever the sun is, which means everybody has to be conjuring the sun, calling the sun, pleading with the sun to shine, right? And the same thing is applicable
Yeah.
to rain. What you will have is
Mm.
going to be disorder and chaos.
Mm. True.
But the system that God put in place allows fruitful seasons to come, allows farmers to function, allows us to be in a dry season, allows us to be in a wet season. In other way around, it allows farming and productivity to scale. Because the
True.
moment when you hear the word farming, it means there's a part of a system that was structured that is missing in a particular climate, in a particular continent. So the moment you take away a system set in place to make things efficient, to make things easy, to set a process running, you realize that there is chaos already. So God, if you look at the creation of the world, I think my pastor was making reference to that, the creation of the world entirely. When God was creating the world, he created the world based on a system. Morning and morning and night, you hear that every now and then. So you realize that God was actually showing us something, that if you are going to build things that are sustainable, if you are going to build finance, if you are going to build a business, it has to go on a system. Strategically, you should have a system with which you will approach every of your investment, a system with which you approach even your vision, a system with which you
Mm.
will approach even parenting. Do you understand what I'm
Mm.
trying to say? So practically, God was trying to tell us you can't do stuff without having a systemic approach to it. Project execution, project management, project planning always require a system. And the moment you have a system in place, what you will see is that you will be able to repeat your successes, because you can almost track things better if it is executed through a systemic approach.
Mm. Okay, so how to act now, because we've been talking about how building systems, and even how God has shown us how we ought to build system and the functionality of that. Because when you were speaking, I just had flashbacks on even the scriptures that made sure that what the way God created the earth, he created it in such a way that before he created what the thing will need before he creates the thing. So take for instance,
Sure.
he created the water before he created the fish, and then
Yeah.
everything could be replicated over time. So I want to ask, what
Yeah.
exactly is the component of the business system, and how can we actually build this system for a small business owner or even as a family person?
Okay. Now, talking about building business systems, there's a lot of conversation going out around business, building a system, building a system. But there's something I see that is missing. Maybe because most times we are discussing this thing for the purpose of monetizing training. I don't know. And what is missing is the fact that you cannot be talking about building a system except you have been able to come to a point of product development or service development, or if I may say, product identification or service identification. I don't know if you got that. You cannot
Yeah, but I would like
talk
to.
about system building if you have not identified a product that you have or a service that you are trying to offer. And I will expatiate on that. Take, for instance, you are saying you want to build a system. There's no system without service. You can't even talk about a system without a product that you have conceived to offer. So how it works is, what do you really want to offer first, as a product or as a service? Having identified what you're trying to offer as a product or as a service, then you have to do a proper job of understanding that product, because systems are built out of a lot of studying a service or a product. And I'll cite a very funny or common instance that people can relate to. Food, for instance. Every food you make, you do not know that there are systemic approach to it. But because people do not understand that systems are everywhere, they cannot really scale it. Take, for instance, if you are making jollof rice, which we have a
Yeah.
product in, jollof rice, party jollof, that is common. Now, there is a system with which you make party jollof. But people always think it is something big or grandeur to do. Now, for you to come up with a repeatable model or a system for that particular, I'm using common things. I don't want to sound
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
intelligent on this matter. I'm using very simple and basic things. For you to be able
Okay.
to make party jollof a big time scalable business, you will have to look at the system and the procedure with which it's made, register it, and then make it a usable and repeatable model. It becomes a system, which is, when you are making this party jollof, for instance, let's say you are a caterer, only pour groundnut oil into the pan after the groundnut oil has been heated to 90 degrees. Only pour water after the oil has been heated to 40 degrees. Only pour rice after the water has boiled for 30 minutes. If you register that particular procedure and you hand it over to any group of people, what you would have done is to create a system with which that particular product should be made. Sometimes you could say that's also a procedure, but the systemic part of it is that it allows for efficiency, speed, and it takes away the stress of having to create strategy to produce every time. It now looks like it's only intelligent people that can run your business. I've done
Oh
that
God.
with food. I have done that with events. I have done it with consulting. I have done it with clothing business. I've done it with fashion designing, palm productions, quite a number of things. R&D development, I have done it with it. So I always say that systems allows you repeat success. Any kind of strategy or progress people make that they cannot repeat, it does not impress me. because you could see that they are trying to make it look like they are the only person that can do well, or success is peculiar to only intelligent people. Actually, it's not. It's peculiar to people who can understand a process or a system and then repeat it over and over again. So you identify a product, identify a service, understand that product, and then register the procedures to developing the product or offering that particular product. Register the procedure to developing that service or offering that service. Finance requires that. Let me cite you an example for anybody in accounting that might suffice here. Excel is one of the most popular accounting software anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And till date, there is no software that has been developed that does not have Excel as a background architecture, except it is not accounting. Now, whatsoever Excel did for us in accounting is that they took our basic +1 +2 that we always scribble on paper that is susceptible to errors. Then they built a process around it, and then a system that allows us to be more efficient. I don't know if you understand that.
Yeah.
Don't forget, I said, for you to build a service, you need to have a product or a service. Now, if there was no need for accounting, there wouldn't have been a need to build a system called Excel or a software called Excel.
True.
So I've always advocated that, because sometimes people in the bid to sound good, they make system development look like I don't believe it's for special people. It's for everybody. Everybody should have a system with which they run things, right? So the goal there is, what product are you selling? What service are you selling? What are you trying to do? What project are you managing? What project are you about to start managing? Then, having understood that, you will be able to then think through the processes step by step. Try many processes. You will fail. You will get it right. Keep what works. Dispose what does not work. Haven't put together whatsoever works step by steps. Make it into a system by writing it down and then handing it over to somebody else who will be carrying out that duty. You would have built a system, because then you do not, because the essence of system, don't forget, is to help you with efficiency. Is the processes of doing things, the process of product development, the process of your R&D, research development, the process of your services. So I don't know if I've been able to communicate a bit there. Maybe I'll take other questions.
You and it brings up a lot more questions, which is standard of operation. Does it have anything to do with system? Because you mentioned something about registering the procedures, the development of the procedures and stuff like that. So SOPs, does it have anything to do with building a system?
Actually, your standard of operation is also a system.
Okay.
I get it in a very simple manner without exaggerating things. And why is your standard of operation a system? Anywhere in the world, whether China, Asia, anywhere you go to, you do not have a standard of operation until you have been able to understand the products, the services that you offer, document the procedures to developing those products or the steps to offering those services. Until you have been able to do that, you cannot have a system. So standard of operation is a system, because when you say standard of operation, it means the standards with which your company runs, or the standard with which your business runs. If you want to say standard, you can substitute that for system. with which your company runs. It's all these things are very, very simple. I wish we can say them in Igbo or in Yoruba, so everybody can understand that English is not English is not what makes it a system. It's just a way that you do things that makes success repeatable, that makes your procedures more efficient, that makes your processes much more easy.
Okay, so I have another question, and the question is, it's in a situation where for small business owners, this may seem like, okay, because of what we have read and we have heard over time, it may seem a bit overbearing and maybe a bit too much. Is it possible to
Okay.
get somebody that can help build, like, is it possible to outsource system building?
For a small business person,
Yes.
you use the word small business, and then there are quite a number of challenges that comes with running a small business, to be sincere. And
Yeah.
there are some basic skills that I will insist, and I say insist deliberately, that if you are in business,
Mm.
either you look for somebody who understands it or you figure out a way to learn it. Accounting, system development, system management, R&D, research development. You need to understand those things because you cannot pay for the service at the early stage of the business. So it's very, very much possible for a small business person to build a system. But the reality of them being able to afford somebody to come in and develop the system may not be there because of liquidity. If the small business person has the liquidity, the cash injection to finance that level of recruitment, that's fine. But system development is very, very possible for any small business owner. And it just starts with what I said again. What service are you offering? I can tell you there's no service or product in this life. I've studied quite a number and we are still looking at many products. There's no service or product that you cannot build a system around.
Hmm. Okay. Thanks so much for that. A lot of questions is actually budding from our conversation right now. So,
Okay,
if a small business owner decides that he or she is going to build his or her own system, and
okay.
with knowledge they have, which may be right, which may be wrong, what are the common mistakes you see happen when people are trying to build a system rather, when small business owners are trying to build a system?
The To be sincere with you, I will say and I'm not trying to motivate, right? I will say the word mistake does not exist when you are trying to build a system for your business, except in a situation where you already have that system existing, somebody has it, and the person is just giving you or copying that model and giving it to you. Because in
Mm,
developing a system itself, mistake is an asset for you.
mm,
Mistake is as in really, really an asset. And I will say that
and
referencing one of the businesses we did, you get it, a food business that maybe a
okay.
few number of people may have. It's called Relish Point. So when we started Relish, we had many things in mind. But for me, my strategy was very, very funny. What I was telling everybody was that we had about 7.5 million then, and they said, okay, let us go and play with this money and then get a model, a system with which we can make African food available globally. We may not have the resources to, at the end of the day, scale that big goal, but it has to be that if they wake you up, there is a process that is written with which African food can be everywhere in the world. And I tell you, we made a lot of mistakes. Don't forget, you are not using a system that exists. You are trying to create something that solves your own problem. Because that's another thing that creating a system does. It helps you solve some fundamental procedural problem. Are you getting my idea? So when we started Relish, it was clear. At the end of the day, every of the things we thought was a mistake is just part of the cost of getting to that end result. Do you
Okay.
understand what I'm trying to say? So it's
Yes.
not, you can't say it's a mistake. You will make mistake. Part of it is that we were losing money every day. But we understood that, okay, this money we are losing is cost of purchasing that system. And now we are discussing being able to live in America, and you go to a store, you buy a can of egusi soup. You are living in China, you can walk into a store and you buy a can of chicken stew, spice like what you have in your house. Just because we were willing to develop a system that makes that easy and possible. Yes, the liquidity is not there, but we have tested it and then we have done the work. Is investment you are looking for. The system is there. We can get it done if the cash injection comes in. I don't know if you understand. So the mistake
Yeah.
is very much expected. In fact, if you are building a system and you are saying that you are building a system, you have not made mistake, I will be asking myself, I don't know how you,